My goodness me. Google a few weeks ago made some massive updates. I was just writing my article here to go out tomorrow morning to talk about all these big changes that are coming that are going to affect a lot of businesses. I thought I've just got to come on here live now, a bit spur of the moment, and just talk you guys through this. So whether you're watching this live or late this evening or later this week, I'm going to get this straight on screen now. Let me just click here. Google just made some really big changes to how they collect reviews, and I talk about getting reviews a lot. I think it's going to be so important now. It is so important now, especially in the age of AI. We really are in a, trust is more important than ever, and of course, getting trust is one of the biggest ways to do this. So getting reviews, is one of the best ways to do this. So you can still hear I'm just in the LinkedIn article editor here. I was about to hit publish on this for tomorrow, and I thought I've just got to come on here and talk through this. So as it says here, in April 2026, so literally in the last few weeks, Google quietly made some of the biggest changes to its review policy in years. I looked through, I can't really find any proper announcement about this. I can see a few articles and people talking about it. As a Google customer with Google Workspace, I never got and a Google Business Profile, quite a few actually. I didn't get any emails about this. I didn't get told about this. I'm just now seeing more and more stuff pop up online, hence wanting to publish this. So if you run a local business and you are asking for reviews the way that most businesses do, there's a really good chance that you're violating one of these policies now, at least one of them. I guarantee you some of you watching this will be breaking at least quite a few of these rules, and you've got no idea. So like it says here, Google's AI systems are now using GPS. Would you believe? They're looking at IP addresses and the fingerprint on your devices to catch these practices, and they're just going to remove the reviews that come from these practices. So it's not just about typical SEO, search engine optimization, answer engine optimization, or generative engine optimization, all these EOs, I guess, but they mean that AI overviews and tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever you use, they're all looking for really authentic and unmanipulated trust signals. Like I say, this is all about trust, and if your reviews look engineered, you lose visibility across the board. So this can absolutely affect you unless you potentially look at this and take some actions now. So I've kind of nailed this down quite short into 5 practices now that are completely banned by Google, why they matter, and then what you need to do instead. So I didn't want to just come on here or write this article and talking about what, just saying that's banned. I want to tell you why it's important and what to do instead. So asking for reviews now while the customer is still on site. So if you've got any kind of shop, restaurant, cafe, any kind of hospitality venue really, or place where people come and see you, asking for a review while somebody is stood in there with you is now no longer ideal at all. Google can tell from the GPS location of the device where the review is left from. If it's on your Wi-Fi network or an IP address that's in your building, that review is going to get flagged as potentially pressured solicitation and therefore suppress that review. So if you do something like hand a customer an iPad before they leave, or a tablet, this now completely backfires on you. Google wants to review to reflect a considered opinion, not a transaction completed under the watchful eye of your front desk staff. The AI moderation tools are specifically looking for clusters of reviews originating from the same IP address or geographic coordinates as the business itself. So of course, if you've got a local business, Google knows exactly where your business is because you've given it your address. And if it sees a lot of reviews being gathered in the immediate vicinity, it presumes they've been left on site, and therefore assumes that potentially, your staff have asked them to leave that review. And if the staff are stood there looking at you, Google's assuming you're not going to leave a bad review. Therefore, the reviews aren't going to be authentic. So what I would do in this case is, I'm not sure if this comes, I think this comes back up later on, but give something that they can take away, maybe a QR code, email the people after. Again, this is a good excuse. If you've got a hospitality business, it's a good way to, good thing to start doing is getting people's email addresses. Then that way you can contact them afterwards. And then when they're at home, they can then leave a review or where they go next. Or if you get them soon enough, they can do it in the car if they're not driving, obviously, or if they're on the train, or depending where you are. So getting people away from site and then asking for that review now is going to be absolutely key. Review kiosks and tablets at reception. So if you've got a shared device with a leave as a review link, again, now this is going to be considered a policy violation. Google is stating that merchants should not require or pressure users to leave ratings on the premises. So there's a little bit of crossover here, but I wanted to put this separately because it's specifically talking about the hardware. If you've got one iPad, for example, left somewhere and people sign in with multiple Google accounts and then leave reviews on that exact same device, again, IP addresses, Google can trace this, and it looks like review farming, even if those customers are genuine. So if you do have a dedicated device, get rid of it, because it's not doing any harm. It's not doing any good. The third one here, telling staff to hit a review quota. So telling your team that we need 10 reviews this week, or if you're running a bit of a leaderboard for which staff member gets the most reviews, completely banned. Google is specifically calling out directing staff to solicit a specific number of reviews. And you're going to think, oh, well, if we've got a little leaderboard for our team, how on earth is Google going to know? Well, when it can see that staff are incentivized to hit these targets, obviously the staff are going to push harder and harder. They might ask friends, reluctant customers, or guide that feedback. And then Google systems are now trained to spot unnatural spikes in review velocity. So when the team's really trying to hit that Friday deadline or Sunday deadline, whatever it is, if it sees a sudden spike, again, it's going to potentially penalize you for that. Okay, like it says there, natural review acquisition is a steady hum, reviews ticking over, coming in, not all on a Friday afternoon, because the teams all just panicked and sent those requests out. So again, this is really encouraging you guys, if you're business owners, to ask for reviews methodically, systematically, and rhythmically. So send a few a day rather than all on a Friday or all in a couple of days. Number 4 here, asking customers to mention specific names or services. So I've recommended this in the past. If you've got team members, ask them to mention that team member's name in their review. That way you can then incentivize or bonus people for getting more reviews. And of course, those reviews are worth it. However, doing that now, completely banned. Google is prohibiting directing staff to request reviews mentioning specific content, which includes names. So if you do have a scripted review, even if they're real, but if you've got, like it says there, 15 reviews about Sarah and how good her laser therapy was, like it says here, the linguistic clustering algorithms will flag them as coordinated. So they're relying now on diverse natural language to understood entities and context. Force keywords destroy that authenticity. So essentially, to translate that a little bit for you, and I might have to just reword that before I hit publish, you can't guide the people at all. So you can't, and it's best not to. So don't say mention this, don't say mention that. You've just literally got to let people write whatever they want in their own words, pretty much. Otherwise, we're going to really struggle here, and potentially it'll get clustered together. And what that means is, those 15 reviews in that example about Sarah and laser therapy, Google potentially will bundle all those up and only count them as one review when people are looking through. They've now got the ability to do that. Cool. And then last, number 5 on here, before I said what to do instead, review gating. It's the practice of asking happy customers for a Google review and asking other customers for feedback through a private form. It's been popular for years. And again, I've built systems like this for people. I've sold to suppliers, and I've got clients using this now that I'm going to be going out to and saying, hey, raise a flag on this. But this is essentially, this isn't actually being used by these guys, but it's something in the back end. If you send someone a form like this, on a scale of 1 to 5, how happy are you with our services? And if someone clicks extremely happy or happy, we take them off to Google and then they can leave a review. But if they click could be happy or unhappy or extremely happy, it takes them off to a private form and we collect that feedback rather than sending them to Google or Facebook or Trustpilot, whatever it is. Not allowed anymore. You've just got to basically send people straight to Google. And it says there, Google calls it sentiment-based filtering and considers it a form of review manipulation. You can no longer pre-screen your customers. The request must be neutral, sent to everyone. And AI systems are really good now at detecting when a business has an unnaturally perfect score with no variance, which ironically lowers trust rather than building it. So really, really important now. So if you've got these things in your business, potentially they need to go. So a few ideas here of what to do instead. So the compliant version does work just as well, often better, and it can build lots of trust. Again, AI, all these different engines that we're all using. Claude seems to be everyone's favorite at the moment, but that is the kind of thing that these guys are looking for. So a few things here. Send a follow-up text or a follow-up email after someone's visit. A few hours later or the next morning is the sweet spot when the customer's at home, not under social pressure, not at work, not picking the kids up from school, and if the request feels like a thank you rather than a transaction. Again, put a QR code on a receipt or an appointment card. Print something that you can give to the customer to take them away if you're seeing them in person. instead of having that device on your premises, and ask everyone the same way. So it says here, do not filter by who you think is happy. Send the same neutral request to every customer and let the reviews fall where they fall. I imagine anyone who actually does have an unhappy customer, though, naturally you're not going to ask them for a review. But this is the Google advice here, which is why it's in the article. And then replying to every review, God, this is so, so important. And I do still say that. I have been saying this to people for a long, long time. You guys, you must reply to these reviews, especially your negative ones if you get one. It shows Google and the world that your profile is active and that you as a business is trustworthy. And Google will reward you for that. And how does Google reward you? Well, it ranks you in search higher than your competitors. So replying is so, so important. And it provides context that AI overviews can use when they're looking, scraping, and summarizing your business. If you get caught, well, the consequences scale up the more violations they detect. So if you were doing all of those 5 things and you continue to do them hard, Google is probably going to absolutely hammer you. But if you were doing one of them a little bit, the punishment could be a little bit less. But like it says here, reviews can get removed or shadow filtered. If it's shadow filtered, that means the customer who left the review, they will see it, but nobody else does. And I've had this happen to me many, many times. Someone says they've left me a review, or I've left a review for someone. Screenshot, send it to the business owner, but we can't see it on the business profile. It's because that's essentially shadow filtered. And unless you do that direct comparison, nobody actually knows that happened. The customer thinks they've helped you, but you think, oh, Google's just made that review disappear, and it has. It's been filtered out. Okay, you could temporarily lose the ability to receive new reviews as well. Existing reviews will stay there, but no one's going to go through. This could either be a set period or forever. It could be a long time. You can now actually get a public warning banner on your profile telling visitors that fake reviews were removed. So Google will remove those reviews and then put a banner. Okay, imagine that if you had that on your Google business profile, people finding you, and there was a flag there telling people that find your business that fake reviews have been removed. How bad does that look? God, you've got to think about this stuff. And of course, ultimately, they can just remove your profile, suspend it. It gets you off Google Maps. It gets you out of a lot of Google search results. And it could absolutely hammer your business depending on how you get your customers. So yeah, really, really important stuff here. The point, though, is not to stop asking for reviews. Reviews are still one of the strongest local SEO and AEO signals. But the point is to ask in a way that meets all of these new rules. A simple post, visit, text, or an email gets you compliant requests every day without changing your front desk routine. So check your current processes. If you're using any of the banned practices, you've got to change them today. These things kick in sometime in May. I forget the exact date. But if you've got any of this happening in your business, you need to change it as soon as you physically can. And if you want any help with the automated stuff, absolutely, I can help you with that. So if you look at foundationsai.uk, this is a system that we use now with dozens of businesses, and we can put systems and processes into your business that automates all this review request stuff. So we can have this send out review requests in the right way at the right time to the right people, and it can take it completely out of your hands. And this can work whether you've got a physical business or a digital business online, or a mix of both. And we can also bring all those reviews together, present them amazingly on your website, whether that's an existing website that you already have or a new one that you need. And we can reply to those reviews automatically as well, again, helping with all this stuff. So if you need any help with that, it's foundationsai.uk. You can pop me a message there on the chat, or get in touch here through LinkedIn. So I will leave that there. I'm going to hit publish on this article any minute now at the time of going live. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, get in touch. Speak to you soon. Cheers.